All right, the Pete Souza Show is back right now. We got Paul Catalina in studio, but I don't think we can go to him yet. Can we turn his mic up? All right, so Paul's mic is up. Paul, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
All right, so we got Paul. All right, Paul, we might have to do. Can we throw a graphic of Paul up, or is that too much to ask? He's such a handsome guy.
Yeah.
And he took
Thank you.
He took time out of his busy schedule to come in here.
I'll tell you this. My wife, I was wearing like a hoodie today.
Yeah.
And it's like the third day in a row I've worn a hoodie, and she's like, "You gotta do something different." And I was like, but I got 4 of them. I mean, I have one to wear tomorrow too. Like, and then Friday we'll see what happens. That's
dude. It's so interesting. Like when you get there he is, Paul. Talk. Hey, can you hear him?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, all right. Nice. All right.
Look, I will say this every time I'm on the show. I discovered it. I taught him most everything he knows. I performed his wedding. That's a true.
Who's wedding?
Zach's.
No way.
Zach's wedding. Yeah. I did. I went online and got certified just for that.
Oh, so you married Zach?
I did. Me and his father.
Get out of here.
Shared that. Yeah, I did the whole vow thing, and then it gave me an idea, which I've done improv-wise. I've done comedy shows where I will pull people up from the audience and I will improv a wedding. And I have like a list of questions I ask them. We kind of play the newlywed game, right? I put them each in isolation separately. I ask them the same like 7-8 questions, and then I make their vows from that.
No way.
Yeah. I've done one actual wedding at a barbershop of the people who came to the show and said I wanted to do it this way, and it was a very small wedding. It was at the barbershop, Champions Barbershop. And I did that. That's the only one I've ever gotten paid for. But I'm available to improv. If you're one of those people who wants a quirky wedding, I will come and marry you, and I will make up the vows on the spot.
And you're certified, right?
Yeah, I'm certified.
Yeah.
I'm certified. I may have to go check like if I'm still this year.
Yeah.
It's I haven't figured out the minister tax dodge yet, which I would like to make my house a parsonage. To do that.
I can chime in on this because I've done this, and it's not worth the time and effort.
It's not worth the time and effort.
It's a huge headache.
Okay.
Unless you're like full time all the time, ministerial, not worth it.
I can't be like the minister of sports and then
What if I'm like Reggie White, like the minister of defense?
I think if, in that case, 365 Sports would have to be recognized as a church. So I guess if 365 wants to go through the process of being non-profited, you could do that.
Oh, see, well, but I mean, then can we make myself like a mega chair? Like, can I Osteen this up to where I can get a jet? Like, that's my thing.
Listen,
like I'm not like
if you think you could be as charismatic and winsome as Joel Osteen, be my guest, my friend.
Okay, I'm very winsome. People always say that's the first thing they say, but he's very winsome.
Joel Osteen reminds me of like the good version of Skip Bayless.
Yeah. I don't know if that. I think
he's like what Skip Bayless could have been.
I don't think that's a compliment to either one of them, and I'm not here to compliment either one of them. Joel Osteen is Skip Bayless without the pending lawsuit.
Have you looked at that Fox lawsuit?
Oh my God, it's crazy.
For somebody who's worked in like sports, radio, TV, broadcasting for a very long time, what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, the Fox Corporation is not new. This.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people haven't brought that up. The Rupert Murdoch side of it.
This is a problem with Fox as a company.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like the Washington Commanders. Like like if you at the top don't care about these things, and don't set any kind of respectful culture, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
and then when you have what Fox has is a stars in everybody else culture. I think because if you look at the news side, we have like Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson, Roger Ailes, like you list the people on the news side all out because they've gotten sued for massive sexual harassment things, right? Yeah. And then you've got a vice president on the sports side who's like, well, they won't notice over here. And so he does it. And then apparently like the Joy Taylor, Emmanuel Acho thing is really strange.
Yeah.
And it,
it's funny because we bust balls towards these companies, like let's say an ESPN or an ABC or wherever you work, that like if you're in a serious relationship with somebody who you work with, you got to go to HR and sort of make it known. Well, this was a case where clearly that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And we don't know every last detail about it, but clearly it wasn't something where they took it that above board, like her and I. I heard Jason Woodrock say that they were living together during COVID, pretty much, the two of them. So everybody knew that they were in this relationship. But so there was all kinds of room for shady stuff to go on.
And look, I don't know if they are anymore because he moved off that show and all that. And look, one of my absolute best friends in this business is David Hellman, who used to work for DallasCowboys.com. He was on that show for a good long while. As one of their kind of rotating voices. Actually, and I know I'm biased. He was the most reasonable person on that show, but that's Hellman.
Well, any
he's now the host of the Fox Sports podcast. So I haven't talked to I'm not going to talk to him. It's not but anyway, the first thing I thought was like, man, that must have been an awkward work environment for him. With all that going on, and then you got this. A hairstylist. I think Faraji. And she, said she was treated poorly, and I believe every word about Skip. I believe every word about.
Have you been around Skip?
No, but I mean, here's the thing. I've worked with everybody in Dallas. I mean, you name it, I know. Like all those people, I've worked with all of them. Nobody has a good word to say about him.
Really?
No one. His own mother probably doesn't have a good word to say about him. And.
I know his dad was like a horrible alcoholic, and his mom did get sober.
He's got and look, even again,
that's context though to who he is.
It's context to who he is, but nobody he is someone who just wants the attention. It doesn't have to be factual. It doesn't have to be right. I mean, he's been downright cruel on the air, so it doesn't surprise me that he gets jealous of people or all this stuff. And I mean, clearly Shannon didn't work out because he was jealous of Shannon. And part of that is you can never be Shannon Sharp. You cannot be an NFL Hall of Famer. The NFL does not like you. They don't like you. How he and Troy Aikman, Troy Aikman said on the ticket one day, I don't know what's going to happen if we're ever in the same room, but I can't promise you that it won't get physical, because he wrote in his book that Troy Aikman was gay, and all these different things.
And he still kind of stands behind the reporting, because
he's still
he says writing the book there was a whole Troy camp and there was a whole Switzer camp, and he took a lot of information from the Switzer camp that was trying to trash Troy. So they were like, hey, here's stuff we heard from police that Troy was caught in a weird situation, something like that. And he says he reported it. But
no, I mean,
he's pushing a narrative.
And so the funny thing I thought was Stephen A. Smith the other day, and I don't watch any of the sports shouting shows. I just don't find them productive. But people do. And it's sadly where kind of the networks have gone, because they get a lot of social media buzz, which is not necessarily. I think they forget that 98% of your audience will never post about anything on social media. 98% of the audience watching us now will never post about us on social media. Will never post about this interview on social media. Nothing. They'll never do any of that. The 2% that are confident enough to call into a radio show, do that. It's confident, whatever it is. I was in talk radio a long, long time, Pete. All you need to do to call into a show is know how to work the friggin' phone. That's it. So it's not there's no intelligence bar to cross. There's no ethics or anything. You just have to know how to work a phone, which is, I think, you learn now at age 2, so everybody knows how to work the phone. And as a matter of fact, you don't even know how to work it. You can just yell, hey, call somebody. And the phone happens. You don't even have to, it's even easier than it was. And it was one of the easiest things that human beings could do. So there's no bar for that. So these shouting shows have kind of, polluted, I think, the airwaves a little bit.
And I hope we're kind of taking them back a little bit, because even the Pat McAfee stuff, it's a little aggressive, but it's still thoughtful.
But he's a jock. I mean, he's just a big dumb jock. Is his whole vibe. Whether he's dumb or not, is not really that thing. But the big dumb jock show, is that's the vibe he's going for, and that's great. Good.
So wait, hold on. So you were talking about you were watching Stephen A.
So
Smith.
I saw this clip on, and he was like, "Look, the Skip I know was so cheap, he would never offer. He would spend 15 cents on something." I'm like, "Well, I mean, Steve, he wasn't trying to bang you. I mean, it's different. It's different. I'm sure he's not going to pick up your dinner, because again, he's not thinking about you in that way." But
of course he seemed cheap to you.
yeah, absolutely. Like he's not. I don't know how many friends I can say like, man, he has never picked up a bill and all this stuff, and then they like start dating a girl and get married, and they're like, oh yeah, we went to Cabo just on a thing, and I'm like, oh okay, well. I mean, he never took me to Cabo. Yeah, because we weren't going to do that. There was nothing in it. Like, he would say, hey, I got a good deal for Cabo. Do you have $750? He wouldn't have just paid for it on his own.
The payoff was different. Not there.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, we stayed at the best hotel in Cabo. The best hotel in Cabo. We went to a Rangers game one time, and he booked a Motel 6. What are you talking about? No, again, different things.
So what did you buy? So your comedic chops coming through. What did you think of Nikki Glaser on the Gold Globe?
She killed. She's one of my favorite comics because she has absolutely no fear.
Yeah.
Like, and she also knows how to say mean things in a way that are not offensive. Right. So like there are people, and I've seen it come and go, that don't get it like she gets it. Anthony Jeselnik, like Bill Burr, they kind of get like, okay, I'm going to say a mean thing, but I have weight behind it, or there's something else. I've been at many, like a comedy show, like a lineup show, where you have a bunch of them on, and there's the guys like, I'm just going to say controversial things. And you're like, yeah, but you're just being a jerk. Like you're not being funny. You're not telling a story. You're just being mean. Like she can be mean and tell a story, and and she's just very vulnerable on stage too, which I think is an important thing. I don't think people realize that, but like she is just so fast and so insightful with that, and knows how to like. She was on Stern yesterday or the day before, Tuesday, like Monday, listing off the jokes she didn't tell. Yeah, which I was like, oh man, I wish she
really got you. You would appreciate that. The whole interview, she got into just the art of telling those jokes, and she had a couple of jokes that she felt like she needed to plug in during the live event, which she's like, they're not in the prompter, which at an event like this you get kind of relying on that.
But it's all timed out, so so it was just you throw in another 10 seconds of a joke, then all of a sudden
you would appreciate like
cinematographers can't make their speech.
No, right? Yeah, exactly. You would have appreciated the nuance. All right, who's your favorite comedian, the best one out there?
She said Mulaney.
Okay.
Mulaney's in my top 5. There's different categories. Like Chappelle is like the GOAT. Yeah. I don't think he's the best right now. But he, like, at any moment he could just take back that title again. Like it'd be like if Michael Jordan like didn't get older. Yeah. Like all of a sudden he's just like, oh, I'm going to play basketball again.
Like if Chappelle put out another Netflix special.
Yeah, exactly. Like he can just do that. My favorite's Bill Burr. I love Bill Burr. And part of it is that, Nikki Glaser's great and I love her, but she's not really speaking to me. Like personally, she's not speaking to me. Like she's maybe talking about me in like a different view, of dudes or whatever, but she's speaking to a different audience, but she's so good that I can laugh through it, even though like I have not experienced this. Bill Burr speaks to, I think, the three of us in this room. He speaks to our experience better than anybody right now. Yeah, like as sports guys, as guys who have flaws and all these different things. He's just so good at it, and he's also just so good at commenting on social issues and like saying like, okay, here's where you're right about this, here's where you're wrong, and this is why we had a stupid argument. He's so good at that. Yeah. I've been trying my entire career to write a bit about the WNBA, and I couldn't crack it. And then he did his in that special that he did at the Red Rocks, and I was like, that's it. That's the way to say it. Yeah. And I was just like, I mean, I have probably written and torn up and thrown it away 100 pages of here's why the WNBA doesn't work. And it's just from my observations of being in sports for so long of, I thought like, okay, why like empty seats don't have, like I said it on the air a lot of times, empty seats don't have a gender. Like they're just empty seats. So like when you're mad at me for not going, well, like I'm not the only one who's not going. Yeah. Like let's market to, which I think the WNBA, maybe because of Bill Burr, because there were a bunch of WNBA players that came out and were like, yes, he's right. Come out and support us. Like, women are the one who's tearing us down. Men, like, what do we like? The men who own us need to pay more money to the players. That's what they need to do. But if you want that to happen, women don't just sit back and not go and not watch. Like, you got to watch. Like, everybody's, my eyeballs, my seat, like, everybody's money's green, right? So, but I could never find a way to say it that didn't sound misogynistic, hateful.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
And that's not what I want.
It's a tightrope.
I'm not like, I'm not here to tell you that the WNBA players are bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that they haven't found it. Like, they're mad at me for not coming to their game. So, like, I have a lot of stuff to do. Like, make it to where. And he just said, like, if you could, what do you say? If you could support a group of women who came together with a common goal, like you do, people who tear down a girl who gained weight and is not a threat to you anymore, like, that would be like, you got to flip it, And so,
all right, I got a couple of things for you before we let you go. Rapid fire stuff, because I want to hear your opinion on stuff. Baylor football, okay, better or worse next year?
I will say at least the same. I think that they have enough roster to be at least the same. I think the schedule gets a little bit like, you get Auburn in there. And look, I have no respect for Hugh Freeze and what he's doing there, quite frankly, but it's still a team that's got a ton of athletes. And Jackson Arnold is actually better than the quarterbacks he's had. I don't know if Jackson Arnold is good or not. Like, Oklahoma didn't put him on that stage. But the schedule's a little bit tougher than it was this year. Of course, you don't know that. The Big 12 could flip on it. Like, our rankings were all upside down, right?
Yes.
They were all upside down.
Yeah.
So they can flip on a dime. Now, I think Arizona State will be good again next year too. Will they be this good? I don't know. It depends on, how do you replace, superstar Scadaboo. But I think they'll be at least the same because they've got a quarterback who's getting better as long as he's healthy. Look, they got Walker White from Auburn, which I know is going to be kind of an advantage in the game planning part of it too. But they've got somebody coming along behind Sawyer now that I think can hold the water. Now, I also think that Sawyer Robertson doesn't get credit for how badly he was hurt and playing through it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and we might have there might have been no DeQuan Finn had Sawyer Robinson not hurt his ankle so badly against Utah, and then he fought through it. And then, this is why I don't like it when coaches don't talk about injuries. So you've got all the fans saying, well, this guy sucks. Well, he can't stand up, and he's out there playing.
Very, very true.
So if you would just say it, that his ankle is hurt and he's toughing it out.
It's hard for us to do our job.
Yeah, it's very hard.
I mean, it really is. You're looking at everything's judged on what the output is. And you're looking at the output and you're looking at the results and you're like, well, clearly this person is not good.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason they're not good and the results aren't up to snuff because they can't do what they need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're capable of.
Yeah, exactly. So, and look, every coach has their own thing. I love that the SEC is making people do injury reports.
Yeah.
I hope every conference does it. It's the dumbest, most high school thing in the world. And I say this as a person who has called many high school coaches, and they won't tell me they won't even send me a roster. Look, man, I'm just trying to say their names on the radio.
Yeah.
If you lose because of me, you're not good. You're not good at your job. I told a coach that one time. He wouldn't send me the roster. He wouldn't send me the roster. Like, I can go on the film. I was doing Mahia. I can go into the room with the coaches on Wednesday, and they'll help me write down the starters. I just need to know what their names are, so that when on the radio, I give them the respect they have earned by being a human.
Yeah,
like just by being alive, I can say their name. That's all I'm trying to do. And you want to keep it a secret and make me go like, well, that's a great pass for number 12, number 21. Like, no, that's going to say, like, that makes me sound dumb. That makes you guys sound dumb. It makes me like I don't care. And I do care.
All right. 2 more for you.
Yeah. So give the injury reports and it'll be better.
College football. Who's going to win the title?
I think Ohio State's so hot right now.
Yeah.
They do, like, the 2 best rosters are playing in Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, that's the 2 best rosters top to bottom, Texas and Ohio State.
That's Friday night, right?
Yeah. A Friday night. Hopefully.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like,
I haven't even thought about that.
I mean, like every time the North Texas Athletic Host Committee, I was at the Super Bowl when it was here.
The Rogers
every time
year.
they say everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you don't know.
Yes.
I've been on the airport when it was 30 degrees and snowing in Dallas and the wing de-icer. There's only one wing de-icer. So the city's not ready for, like, they can say they're Brian in the roads and all those things. The city's not ready for this. They're not like, they just don't have the infrastructure to do it because it happens so little. They're not prepared for it. And I think half of them are probably looking on YouTube like, how do they do this in Columbus, Ohio? Like, like, okay, let's look up the roads, highway department from Minneapolis and see what they do. Oh, we've got to order a bunch of salt. Yeah, like, all right, let's go. Yeah. Oh man, they've got 8 of these things. We rented one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing I worry about. I think they'll probably get it in. I don't know if it's going to be quite as bad as but you gotta look, you were in TV forever. The weather guy can't be like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Yeah. Like he can't. Like the minute he does, then he's not the weather guy when his contract's up. Yeah. Because the ones I was like, oh, you guys, we're overreacting to this. Yeah. Like, no, like no weather guy who's gonna like maintain his contract and not wind up like back in the market he started in is gonna be like tornadoes.
All right, so you got Ohio State winning.
I got Ohio State winning. I think Notre Dame beats Penn State.
Okay.
I think they have a better coach. And I think Texas and Ohio State is gonna be it's going to be really good. I just think Ohio State's playing better top to bottom right now. But again, sometimes that doesn't mean anything game to game. I think both games are going to be really close.
Okay. Last one for you. Cowboys next head coach, or will it stay the same?
Right now, it looks like it's going to be McCarthy again, although I wouldn't put it past Jerry to keep his exclusive negotiating window with McCarthy so that he can when he says he honestly hasn't thought about it until now, like I believe him. Yeah. Like he thinks about things in a different way than all of us do. And it's frustrating, but I do think it's probably going to be Mike McCarthy. Cause I don't know if he has an idea of who the other one, like who the next guy would be. Like he had the idea, like when Jason Garrett had hit the wall, it's now like, what? Like, yeah. Okay, now Mike McCarthy's out there. That's something. Jerry's not going to, if you look at Jerry, his coaching hire history, he doesn't plumb the depths. He's not going and trying to innovate. He's trying to find like, okay, who am I going to be comfortable with? Yeah. And what do I know? He's not going to take a risk on a guy like a Ben Johnson that hasn't done anything yet. He did that once with Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. And then they got in a fight and then he had like a 30-year feud that only ended a year ago.
All right, Paul Catalina, you're the best. The Triple Option podcast. Yeah. The fantasy show is still going or no?
The fantasy show will be more. We're going to do live shows until there's actual fantasy football. Yeah. We're going to do that damn fantasy show, like snippets, and we'll have content. Steve and I haven't figured out how to do that just yet, and what's going to be interesting and compelling. But here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to sit down and find out like, look ahead, other things. We might do fantasy football DFS because our sponsor is Underdog Fantasy. So we have that. So Underdog Fantasy, if they do UFL DFS, we might do that. Like that might be fun and something that nobody else is doing.
No, yeah.
So we might do that. And then, of course, the main show, 365 Sports.
365 Sports, baby. That's where they get it done.
And soon to launch Catalina's Cowboys Corner.
Let's go. Is that going to be here?
That's good. Yes, here. Of course. Everything I do is tied to Rogue.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm part of the crew. Like that's my check comes from here now. So I get like whatever they want me to do, I'll do it. So.
Paul Catalina, baby, he's a part of the squad. I love it, Paul. Thank you so much for spending time.
Pete, anytime, especially now that you're on at 10 o'clock.
And by the way, thank you for dealing with the technical issues. I really appreciate that.